God's people and Him being our God by faith in Jesus Christ. We weren't brought up in the Jewish faith. We weren't circumcised at 8 days old as men. We didn't live in the land of Israel and abide by their eating customs and their laws. The women weren't brought up, keep food kosher. And here we come as Gentiles, and because of what Jesus comes, He says, you know what, Craig, I give it to you as a gift.
Yeah.
Belinda, I give it to you as a gift. Internet's a gift. Take it if you want it. And so many people out there are like, I don't know if I believe this stuff, eh? No, man, I think I'll just body and, see how it goes. And, if I miss it, I'll take my buddy in hell. It's like there's no lights, there's no disco lights in hell. There's no road signs, there's pitch blackness. Who bumped me there? It's like a demon. Oh, it's me. So it's not fun, and they make fun of it. It's like, and why? Because Satan blinds them to the reality of it.
Yeah.
Now you take that same person that is so on top of it, and you tell him, you might have a virus, eh? And this thing can kill you, eh? He's like, gotta go to hospital, and maybe I should take a jab. And you see how quick that facade crumbles when your reality of this life can end, or I can get sick, or I'm so brave. We as a group we go somewhere. And, he's my club here, man. But now he walks down to the shop on his own, and he's got 3 of his friends with.
Then you duck and dive.
So it's this whole facade is a false image, and God says, humble yourself, because man, you are like a breath of air, man. That days that you have that you think are so long, they're like gone like that. Here today, gone tomorrow. But God offers us something called eternity with Him. And I'm like, no, I want that, Lord. I want that. The first covenant had regulations for worship, and also an earthly sanctuary. A tabernacle was set up. In its first room was the lampstand and the table with its consecrated bread. This was called the holy place. According to Hebrews 8:5, the consecrated bread, or the bread of the presence, was a physical representation of a spiritual concept, namely the actual presence of God being continually with us today. The physical tent.
You're talking too fast, Harry.
Because I'm excited.
No, you have to explain what that building that you're talking about.
The tabernacle.
Yeah.
The physical tent of meeting has to be replaced by a spiritual temple. And we're going to read 1 Corinthians 3:16. But before I do, so if you look at the temple,
Yes. John, Acts,
Corinthians.
Corinthians.
16 years old.
I think you know this paper.
1 Corinthians.
I think it's after Acts.
1 Corinthians. Go back to 1 Corinthians.
16.
There we go. Yeah. Your chapters are here. This tells you where you are. Is it 16, Malcolm? What's the scripture? 1 Corinthians?
but we're going to read 1 Corinthians 3:16.
3:16.
3, like this number.
Yes, but anyway.
So just quickly, the tabernacle. So you had the tabernacle, you had the outer court where the Jews could come in, but going into the holy place. Only the priest could go in, and then you had the menorah, which was the candlestick with the 7
Candles.
lamps. And then on this you had the 12 loaves, which represented the 12 tribes of Israel, because they go there now.
Listen.
So you come through there, only the priest, but into this Holy of Holies,
Actually, the Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant, with the mercy seat, which had to be sprinkled with blood, with the 2 seraphim
angels.
overlooking that. Only once a year the high priest would come in. So you understand, coming into the presence of God. When Jesus died, this curtain was ripped in 2, meaning the Holy Spirit came out to live in our hearts if we want Him to.
That's a good teaching.
Yes,
You
we'll
need
do
to
it
take
on its
time
own
with
now.
that.
Okay, so let's read 1 Corinthians
And Rush.
3:16.
16.
Mm-hmm.
Good, you read.
Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you?
Okay, what did I just show you there?
Mm-hmm.
Where only the high priest could go into the presence of
Before
God
Jesus, the Old Testament.
once a year
Mm.
to sprinkle blood for himself and
What
the
Jean was
nation.
asking earlier about the blood, the lamb and that. That is what
Now
she's
that
referring
same presence and power of God dwells in you. Why? Why, Craig, can God's Spirit dwell in you?
Because you believe. Because Jesus died and he
But God's a
did
holy
away
God,
with
Jean.
all of that.
Mm.
Because
Because we were
if-
we were
if-
justified, made righteous.
Hello. You understand, we don't have sin because God
You can't dwell
is
in
holy.
sin.
He's forgiven us.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we struggle?
Yes.
Do we grow up? Are we immature sometimes?
Yes.
Are we growing,
Yes.
developing?
Yeah.
But He's there
To guide.
Regardless.
forgiving us,
Mm.
praying for us, interceding for us, trying to,
Reminding us.
that's it, building us up all the time. Say, come on, Craig, you can do it. I mean, we had this men's meeting, we had some good chats there. Come on, Craig, you can do it. Goody. The devil's lying to you.
Yeah.
And the physical bread of the presence has become the spiritual bread that abides with us through the Holy Spirit. When Jesus said we must eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, that's John 6:53, we read it, he spoke as he often did in parabolic terms, like parables.
Yeah.
We must receive him by faith.
Mm.
That's John 1:12. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Why, Craig? They will be filled. That is Matthew 5:6. We understand that we need physical food and drink. Jesus wants us to understand that we also need spiritual food and drink. And that is what his sacrifice provides. So I've actually got 2 lessons I want to do here, but I think we're going to break now, make some coffee. Then I'm going to go on to the next one because the next one's actually very interesting.
Okay.
And I saw I had this one prepared. So,
Right.
can we break?
Yes, it's like I need to put